Hello, and I'd like to talk about the CW special that was on tonight regarding a tribute to Freddie Mercury. What was interesting about it is that I found out about from a friend. He called me and said, "Well, did you see this live? Did you see this tribute it's on?" I didn't realize it at first. He says on channel 5.3 in Chicago, and I asked, "Well, what did he say?" I said, "Well, he said, well, it's and I thought, well, wait. They said CW, and then I said, well, where I am now, I can only get Milwaukee stations over there. So I looked on Channel 18, I found it. And the thing was interesting about it is, I remember that time as a young medical researcher because as a young medical researcher, I was an ally to those who had AIDS and had friends who had AIDS. Yet while working, being closeted transgender, working male during daytime and living female after work. The hardest thing about that period, though, that I remember is that some of the medical researchers I worked with were very cruel. Some of them had very old attitudes, thinking that those who had AIDS were being punished by God because of the quote lifestyle, and others were just very cruel to even having associated with an AIDS patient back then. Yet there are other medical researchers which were friends I associated with who had compassion, and even friends that defended me from University of Paris who were working in Milwaukee at that time, Lee, University of Milan, Lara, Lara. Sometimes my L's sound like R's. And I was teased to hell about that in Milwaukee. That's why I didn't like Steve Colbert doing imitations of how President Trump spoke. But getting back to the topic, and friends at the park basically who defended me, I won't mention the names because basically, as some of them are still working, I don't want them to be um, found out because basically there still exists some attitudes about how people who are LGBT are treated in Milwaukee, especially by the lead up there, even though they call themselves Democrats. Um, so during that time, I'm glad I had the friends to support, but eventually I got to the point there has to be a better way to work other than living in this narrow mindedness of Milwaukee, especially how the AIDS crisis exposed it. And Milwaukee was too slow, way too slow to change during 1989 to 19. That's why I started to work. That's why I finally took a second job in California and completed my career working in California. I'm glad I did. And I finally took the view of Malie, who said, look, don't act as a dumb American or as a dumb farmer to fit into the Midwestern thinking that is way out of date, way far behind. And even today, basically, I still keep a far distance from Milwaukee and Milwaukee thought because I still feel they still haven't got the message completely, and that's why basically sometimes I gravitate more towards Chicago, L.A., Phoenix, actually the West, and that's why even when I went from my graduate school, I went to University of Phoenix in Phoenix, and also as part of Milwaukee School because I wanted to go to a Western university that had modern thought and wouldn't look at me strangely because I wear white Levi blue jeans that are butterflies. As in Milwaukee, when you did that, if you wore white blue jeans instead of blue jeans, you looked at, oh, you're one of those weird gay people. No, I was closet transgender, but the thing is, what happens though is I'm glad that the special is on, and also, when I think about the period, I'm glad some of us were able to survive it, and especially for the internet for alt transgender and social transgender because it did help many of us survive through this era because there with people that don't have outreach, there are many of whom take an alternative path, and basically to those who still believe it's God's revenge or God's thing, I'm sorry, you have a right to your religious freedom, I have a right to mine, and my religious freedom says that your viewpoint is wrong. Well, let me know what you think.